Rapture's changing, but Ryan can't see the wolves in the woods. This Fontaine fellow, he's a crook and a proper tea leaf, but he's got the Adam, and that makes him the governor. Sinking the profits back into bigger and better plasmids.
Bill McDonaugh is one of the most well-meaning men that Jack will come to know of during the events of the game BioShock. A general contractor by trade, McDonaugh would earn himself an enviable position amongst the Rapture elite thanks to catching the eye of a man named Andrew Ryan. Ryan and McDonough's relationship would cause the engineer to offer Bill the opportunity to follow him under the sea to his envisioned Utopia, an offer that the contractor would heartily accept, but a decision that he would come to regret as Rapture slowly dissolved into chaos.
We were done over. Them splicers come screaming out the woodwork, burping fire, spitting ice, demons out of the Bible they were. I've never seen nothing like it. It wasn't a business he was building.
The story of Bill McDonaugh as we know it begins with his trade as a contractor in the bustling world of 1940s New York. A talented plumber and general handyman, McDonaugh would impress his clients by going above and beyond in ensuring them the highest quality he could in every job he took, even if that meant footing the bill for the higher quality materials. This practice would eventually catch the eye of one of his clients, a man named Andrew Ryan. McDonaugh had been sent by a general contractor to install bathroom plumbing in Ryan's Park Avenue apartment using tin fittings, an inferior material that Bill knew would cause leaks. And so he would pick up the tab in upgrading to the higher quality grade of brass, a decision that Ryan would question, and a decision that Bill would explain by assuring him that it would be both free of charge and much more effective. This pride and dedication to his work would impress Ryan, so much so that the following day, Bill would find out that Ryan wanted him as his new general contractor, a position that McDonaugh would graciously accept, forming a partnership between the two that would eventually lead Bill to becoming a key member of Rapture's construction, helping Ryan to make this ridiculous vision a reality. And once it was, helping him to keep it from being reclaimed by the ocean.
Cogitate on this. Ocean water is colder than a witch's tit. You don't heat the pipes freeze. Pipes freeze, pipes burst. Then Rapture leaks. Now, I realise...
Thanks to Bill's help in Rapture's construction, and his close bonds to the city's founder, Andrew Ryan, he would be chosen for a seat on Rapture's city council, rubbing elbows with some of the most influential men and women that the city would ever know. Yet, despite this newfound prestige, he never failed to keep his ear to the ground on the true goings-on of the city. Perhaps thanks to his blue-collar background, or maybe just the need for him to visit the less savory parts of the city for his job, McDonaugh would keep his finger on the pulse of Rapture's most jaded. This knowledge of the less fortunate would lead McDonaugh to suggest Ryan have a debate with a woman named Sophia Lamb, an accredited psychologist who was gaining a foothold with those struggling by pushing a more collectivist ideology. Unfortunately for both Ryan and McDonaugh, though, these debates wouldn't have the effect that they so sought. Lamb instead growing ever more prominent in these areas and forcing them to pursue a much less civil means of silencing her. This failure from his suggestion would be the first big wedge that would shake McDonaugh and Ryan's relationship. A wedge that would perhaps influence Ryan to become less and less trusting of his dutiful follower. A problem that would come to a head with the rise of another new face in Rapture's power structure. A man named Frank Fontaine had begun to make a name for himself with a radical new invention, which he called plasmids. Genetic modification injections that would grant the user incredible and dangerous new abilities. At first, Ryan would applaud this creation as an achievement of the city, embracing Fontaine as a fellow visionary. But McDonaugh was much less enthusiastic. From the outset, Bill could see that these plasmids were changing Rapture, an addiction to Adam slowly growing as people became more and more dependent on Fontaine's miracle, and thus more loyal to the man providing it. To this end, Bill would bring his concerns to Ryan. However, it wouldn't be until the discovery of Fontaine's smuggling ring that he would truly give the con man his attention. Ryan would issue demands for the arrest of Frank Fontaine, a decision that McDonaugh would agree with, on the caveat that he leave his businesses to their own devices once Fontaine had been dealt with.
We always win. Fontaine Futuristics is the biggest thing going in Rapture. So let me be plain. When we arrest that toe rag Fontaine for his thieving and smuggling, we must make it clear that we won't touch his business interests. We sit on the...
Fontaine would seemingly be killed in a shootout during the attempted arrest, and as McDonaugh pleaded for Ryan to let the market run its course, Ryan would decide that it was best to nationalize Fontaine's ill-gotten businesses, a decision that many would see as complete hypocrisy from the man who'd always boasted about the purity of the great chain of industry. This decision would distress McDonaugh, and as a sign of protest, he would resign from his post on Rapture City Council, lodging a formal complaint to his longtime friend in the process. Bill could see the unrest growing against the city's upper class, could see that a war was on the horizon if he couldn't get Ryan to change course. But unfortunately, this gesture would be ignored by the famed city founder, a new threat named Atlas raising a rebellion in the slums of Apollo Square as an all-out war would plunge this once idealistic city into chaos. Bill McDonaugh was something of a prophetic figure for Rapture's eventual collapse, a man who could see the problems of Ryan's paradise for what they were, attempting to sway the ever-drifting chain back on track. Unfortunately though, try as he might, he would fail at every turn. McDonough's was the tale of a man rising through the ranks of society on the back of his sheer ability. A man who entirely dedicated himself to his personal beliefs and the paths to achieving them. And as Ryan began to threaten Rapture with the betrayal of his long-held beliefs, McDonaugh saw only one way to keep the city he'd helped create from being lost to the madness of a man he had once completely believed in.
I never killed a man, let alone a mate. But this is what things come to. I don't know if killing Mr. Ryan will stop the war, but I know it won't stop while that man breathes. I love Mr. Ryan, but I love Rapture. If I have to kill one to save the other, so be it.